Now, to understand the reason behind this increased firepower, you have to know how the Garand operates. So let's take it step by step. The M1 is a semi-automatic, gas-operated and air-cooled weapon. It's fed from a clip which holds 8 rounds. And only a fraction of a second after the trigger is pressed, a bullet is on its way. In this fraction of a second, many important steps occur. We'll take a few minutes and show you. So let's begin by loading a fresh clip and using an animated diagram.
I want to make a video today trying out a new setup system with my camera, so we'll see how this goes. But I want to make a quick video, somewhat quick, on how to load the Garand, some of the myths between Garand thumb, or the myths about Garand thumb, and how you get it, how you don't get it. One of the things is loading the Garand. A lot of people, they think, well, one of the myths is basically is, so you go to load the Garand, unless you stick your hand here, kind of on the op rod, on the back of the op rod, unless you stick your hand there, pull my dummies out, these are all just dummy cartridges, so unless you load it like this, with your thumb, with your hand on the op rod, and push down till it locks, unless you do that, you're gonna get Garand thumb. And if you don't do that, you're asking for a Garand thumb. That's bullshit. Okay, so let me show you something here. So, the way the Army, so when I was looking at how I was gonna do this video, doing some research for it, I was like, you know, I think I remember seeing a video that said the U.S. Army taught their soldiers to load like this with the palm of your hand, or I guess the back side of your hand on the op rod. And then I also remember seeing something about how the Marines taught their Marines to load like this. Ah, I got Garand thumb. Not. Okay, see how, I mean, that wasn't even, I mean, bolt didn't go forward and close on my hand. So I was looking last night and come across an old World War II 1943 dated training video. It was for the U.S. Army, and they were, I'm gonna try to, no promises, I'm gonna try to put that footage in so you can see. They were showing, this is how you load. Let me try to get close here. Put it in like this with your fingers curled up down in there, and then let go, bump the op rod, closed. Okay, that's how they taught their, I'm assuming that's how they taught them to load, because I mean, that's the training video. Why are they gonna make a training video different than how they're gonna actually teach them to load? So now there's nothing wrong with loading like this. Put the clip in. You want to put your hand here, go ahead and put your hand here. If that makes you feel better, go ahead. Now, the way you get Garand thumb typically is two ways. One, so when you open up the action here, pull it back, and you don't pull it the whole way back. See, see, mine won't do it because it's properly greased. If your gun's properly greased and you have a new spring, it won't get caught. But sometimes it'll get caught just like that on the follower. You can see the top of the bolt. If you can see the top of the bolt, it's not locked back. And then what they'll do, assuming you have a worn out spring or your gun's not lubed right, what you'll get is you'll get some clown, they'll try to load it like that. I still don't know if you can get Garand thumb like that. I guess if you didn't know any better and you really tried to shove it down in there. But the actual way you get Garand thumb, most people get Garand thumb, is they'll stick their freaking hands inside this when they're not loading. And that's how you get Garand thumb. If you want to clean this gun, you want to clean the inside of this, anything with the inside of this, take it apart, unlatch the spring, then you can go in there, you can monkey around in there, clean it, take the bolt out, whatever. But if it's together like this, don't stick your hands in there. Now, a lot of times I see people do this because they're so afraid of it. A lot of people are so afraid of this gun, it's disgusting. If you're afraid of loading this gun, do not buy it. All right, a lot of times I'll see people do this. They'll have the M1 set up, and they'll fucking do this. They'll hold the op rod back, and because I guess they're either weak or they're just that afraid of it, they'll stick their hand like this, and they'll load like that. And then, actually, this is how I saw a guy, because like I said, I used to always say, you can't get Garand thumb from loading. Well, I saw some clown do this the other day on YouTube, and he gave himself Garand thumb because he's an idiot. You don't load like that, because what's going to happen is, dude, just say, you load, you're holding it with the op rod here, you load it down in, you get it down in, and they slip. And the only thing, your hand here slips, the bolt closes on your thumb, and the gun completely slips and it falls. Dude, could you imagine if it fell and your thumb is caught inside this action? No, nope, no thanks, not me, I'm good. So there's another couple ways to load this here. My rounds are all wet. If you don't want to load a full clip, let's see if I can do this. I usually like to do this with some support. Pull these out. Like at a shooting range, at a bench. You can take your clip, empty clip, and you stick it in there. Okay. Now, take your one round at a time, load it in there just like that. See that? Got one in there. Load another one. Now you'll see, as you put more than one in, the clip will want to go down. So this is whenever you do need to hold the op rod. Hold the op rod back. See, it already started to release. It's easier to do it if you have a third hand. I've done this many times at the range. You set the gun up on the bench. It's easier to do. I guess you can. There's two. Actually, I'm noticing, I'm learning this here as I pull up. When I put a clip in, I put a round in, pull the clip up a little bit, not that far. Then it goes in easier. There's two. Here's three, you get the idea. And then just a little more. There's four, you're loaded. You want 4 rounds, load that. Now, again, you need to put your hand over the op rod when you do this, because the last round is not going to go the whole way down, so you're not going to hear the click. So you hold your hand over that, like so, push down in. There we go. Okay, well, that did take it, so I took it correctly, and the round is chambered. Sometimes it won't do that, depending on how many rounds you have in there. As I said, not to do that. But, so what well, I'm not going to be able to demonstrate this very easy. But what you would normally do, let's see if I can get this to stay back here. Okay, so what you would normally do is just push that down, and the bolt would close over top of the round. And then all you do is just, there, and it just took a round. See? Oh, we have a round in there. So that's how you would load it individually. Now, I saw a video from Jerry Michalak yesterday. I've been told not to do this before, but I always have. And I guess it makes sense. So what Jerry said, and obviously Jerry's got way more experience than I do. And I've been told about this by Fulton Armory too. If you want to load a single round, you don't just throw it in the tube there and I guess let the bolt fly home. I suppose what I did would be fine. Let me see here once. So what he was saying is you don't want to let it slam home like that because the force of the firing pin. So take that for what it is. He's probably right. So if you want to load a single round, load it in there and then just ease the op rod forward. So, or you can put a single end block in there too. So something else I learned yesterday. So nothing in the gun. So we're gonna go ahead, squeeze the trigger. Again, gun's empty. Squeeze the trigger, right? Okay. So say I was shooting and there's a round in there and that just had a misfire, right? Watch this. I've never seen this anywhere on YouTube besides in that training film I watched yesterday. So we're gonna take the trigger guard, pull it down, unlatch it, bring it down. You hear that trigger just reset? The trigger just reset, and that's all I did. I'm gonna push this back up. You ready? Do you hear it? One more time. Gonna just unlatch the trigger group, come down, trigger just reset, and then push it back in, click, going again. Okay, now what I've always done before, and I'm sure many of you have too, is if you get a misfire, just pull the bolt back a little bit. Pull the bolt back just a little bit, enough to reset the hammer, and then now your hammer was reset and you could fire again. But again, and that's why you shouldn't discount the World War II training films. There's actually a lot of good information on there. And I've been shooting these for a long time and I never knew that. I've never seen anybody ever say that before. So anyway, so that's how you load an M1 Garand. And that's how you get Grand Thumb and how you don't get Grand Thumb. So one more thing I want to talk about was I was on Fulton Armory's website the other day and I seen a thing called Thumb Saver for the M1 Garand. And what it is it's fuck, dude, it's $75. $75. What it does, that's not including tax or shipping. What it does is when you load the M1, it makes it so the bolt won't release. Now I can hold this fucker all day like this. It ain't going nowhere. Okay? So but it makes it so the bolt won't release. In order for the bolt to release, you would have to pull it back and then release it. You see how I just did that? Watch. I'll pull it might go this time. Well, I'll pull the bolt back and it's not gonna send the round home. A lot of people try to load the M1 like that. They'll load it, the bolt won't go forward, and they'll try to pull it back. Well, it did go, I did it like 3 or 4 times and it went. What you're supposed to do, let me get this out again. This is how you won't run an M1. Don't do that. Because it's not going to work. That's why you don't do that. So, if you do that, you have like a 50-50 chance of it actually going. Let me show you how to load. Let me show you how to run the M1 right now. Ready? Done. Loaded. You don't pull back on it. Come up and bump it. Now, depending on what clips you're using, a lot of times the bolt should go home by itself as soon as you load it. Now, I don't know. These are all surplus clips. This is just a tight one. I was doing this the other day. I think they were in my dummies were in a different clip. I was doing this the other day and it was loading fine. But whenever you push down, the bolt releases. 90% of the time, 80% of the time, that bolt will automatically load by itself. I don't know why it's not doing it today. I think it's just the clip I have. If it doesn't load, just bump her. She'll go right in the battery. So don't be afraid of it. Don't spend $80, $85 on a commercial part for your M1 so your little baby thumb won't get hurt. If you load the M1 right, you won't get grand thumb. I have never gotten grand thumb. Not one time. I've been shooting these things 8 years. Not once have I ever gotten grand thumb. So, anyways, video's long enough. Hope you learned something today. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.